Hi, I'm Mike Brewer, and this is Mike's midweek message for July 22nd, a sort of shared moment of contemplation about that wonderful mystery we call life. Thanks for dropping in. I was flitting around through the internet recently, and I came across a story at a site operated by a bird enthusiast who has a feeder and watches the birds that come to the feeder and gives them names. And on the site, I read the story of George and Mabel, two crows. Crows apparently mate for life. And a couple of years ago, George had some kind of injury that broke off a large portion of his upper bill, his upper beak. No one knows what happened, whether it was a trap of some kind or a collision, but in the normal course of things, you'd expect George to die after that kind of injury. But Mabel is sticking with him. When George goes to the feeder, he has found a way to feed himself that involves turning his head on his side and sort of scooping up the feed and shoveling it into his mouth. And Mabel keeps watch while he does this. Mabel makes sure none of the other birds come in and interfere so that George can eat his fill. And so together the two of them seem to be thriving by sticking together. A couple of seasons back, they had one hatchling that died of avian pox sometime during the winter. More recently, they had two hatchlings, one of which died almost immediately. The other had a foot deformity, but George and Mabel are taking good care of this young bird. The youngster has made it through one winter. George goes to the feeder, fills his beak and his gullet, flies back and feeds his youngster, and is trying to teach the youngster to do that on his own. On the whole, this crow family has not had an easy time of it. Illnesses and injuries and death, and yet they are sticking together and helping each other make it through. I wish there were more crows like George and Mabel. Frankly, I wish there were more people like George and Mabel. It's no surprise if I tell you that we are living in divisive times, and many of the divisions have to do with my standing up for my rights. I have this coming. I'm entitled to this or that. Don't get in my way. Now, I'm a great believer in rights. It's one of the things that makes this country the wonderful place to live that it is. And as a culture, as a society, as a government, we need to be protecting individual rights. No question about that. But sometimes in our day-to-day relationships, it might be healthier if I set aside my rights so that I could take care of someone else. If I worried less about what I have coming and gave a little more thought and attention to what someone else needs. I think this is what Paul is getting at when he writes to the Galatians in the 6th chapter of that letter, the 2nd verse, and he says, "Bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ." It's not a bad way to sum up what Jesus taught about how we live with each other. We bear each other's burdens. And together, and it is together, it is a place where we meet in shared support. And together, life becomes easier. Together, problems become less daunting. Together, victories become more uplifting and exciting. It's called mutuality. It's called interdependence. It's called bearing one another's burdens. Or it's called taking the cue from George and Mabel. We all have needs, but we also have opportunities to give and share and bless others in their times of need. I have to believe that if we took that more to heart, our world would be better, our workplaces would be better, our churches and schools and our households might be better and more peaceful and more loving. Just a thought. You can tell me that I've gone to the birds if you like. Thanks for dropping in. I hope we can get together soon. In the meanwhile, be strong, be safe, and be faithful. See you later. Bye.